The sky was full of dark smoke. Broken towers and empty streets stretched across the land. The war between humans and the Xenari Empire had left the planet in ruins. Now most soldiers had returned to their ships. But Caleb, a human soldier, stayed behind for one more sweep of the battlefield. He moved carefully through the debris, his boots crunching broken metal and ash. His scanner beeped suddenly. A strange signal appeared on his screen. It was weak and full of static, but it was real. Caleb frowned. This area should be empty, he whispered to himself. He followed the signal, moving deeper into the ruins. His heart beat faster. The signal was coming from an old structure, half destroyed, with one side leaning like it would fall any moment. Caleb stepped inside. It was quiet. Too quiet. "Is someone there?" he called softly. No answer. He raised his weapon slowly, flashlight flickering across the broken walls. Then in a corner behind some fallen stone, he saw something move. A small figure, shaking. He crouched down. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." Out from the shadows crawled a young alien girl. Her skin was a soft violet color, and her eyes glowed faintly with fear. She looked no older than 10 human years. Her clothes were torn and her arms were scratched. She didn't speak, only stared at him with wide, scared eyes. Caleb slowly placed his weapon on the ground and removed his helmet. He offered her a bottle of clean water. She reached for it slowly, her fingers trembling. She drank, then looked back at him. A quiet voice came from her lips. Just one word. "Rinari." Is that your name?" Caleb asked kindly. She gave a small nod. "Okay, Rinari. I'm Caleb. I'm here to help." She seemed confused, like she didn't understand all his words, but she could feel something in his voice. Safety. Calm. She took a few shaky steps toward him, then stumbled. Caleb caught her gently. "You're cold," he said, wrapping a small, emergency blanket around her. She leaned against him, exhausted. As he lifted her up, he noticed something on her arm, a golden marking, partly hidden under dust. He brushed it gently. It was the royal symbol of the Xenari Empire. His eyes widened. "You're a princess?" he whispered, but she had already fallen asleep in his arms. Caleb looked around. If she was the daughter of the Xenari queen, then this was more than just a rescue. This was history. This could change everything. He stepped out of the building with Rinari in his arms. The wind blew ash across the street. He turned on his comm device. "Command. This is Corporal Caleb. I found a survivor, a young female, possibly Xenari royalty." The radio crackled, but no answer came. Of course, communication was weak this deep in the ruined zone. He had to get her out himself. As he moved forward, Rinari stirred. In a weak voice, she said, "Queen, Mother." His grip tightened gently. "Don't worry. I'll get you to her, I promise." He didn't know how far the Queen was, or even if she was alive. But he knew one thing. He would not leave this girl behind. He looked toward the smoky horizon. The path ahead would be hard, but he had no choice. He was a soldier. She was a child. And now she was his responsibility. Caleb carried the young alien girl through the ruins as ash continued to fall like gray snow. The buildings around them looked like skeletons of a once great city. Broken walls. Burned out homes. The silence was heavy. Rinari, the little girl, remained quiet in his arms. She was still weak, but her eyes opened slowly. She looked up at Caleb with curiosity and fear. He gave her a small smile. "You're safe now. I've got you." She didn't answer, but she didn't pull away either. They found a safe place to rest, an old transport garage with a broken roof, but no enemies in sight. Caleb placed Rinari down gently and opened his small supply bag. He gave her some food, soft energy biscuits made for children. She ate slowly, her eyes never leaving him. Caleb sat nearby, watching her. He had been through many battles. He had seen pain, loss, and fear, but this girl, she was different. Something about her made him feel responsible, like it wasn't just duty. It was something deeper. "Where's your family?" he asked softly. Rinari looked down, then raised a shaking hand to her chest. She pressed her fingers to the golden symbol on her skin, the same one Caleb had seen earlier. Then she pointed to the sky. "Queen, Mother." Caleb sat up straight. "You're really the Queen's daughter?" he asked, surprised. Rinari gave a slow nod. Caleb took a deep breath. He had heard stories during the war. The Zenari Queen had one daughter who was lost during the first attacks. Many believed she had died when the royal palace was bombed. But here she was, alive. "You've been hiding all this time," he said gently. "Alone?" Rinari looked around the garage, then slowly nodded again. Her eyes filled with tears. Caleb moved closer and placed a hand on her shoulder. "It's okay. You're not alone anymore." Outside, the sky was turning darker. Night was coming, and with it, danger. Enemy patrols sometimes searched at night. Caleb had to make a plan. He checked his scanner again. Still no contact with base. "If I wait for help, it might be too late," he said to himself. He looked at Rinari, now curled up under the blanket, sleeping again. "I'll take you to her." Somehow, he couldn't leave her. She needed him. That night, Caleb stayed awake, watching the shadows and listening for footsteps. His weapon rested beside him, but his eyes kept going back to the girl. He remembered his little sister. She had the same soft face, the same small hands. She was gone now, taken by war. Caleb couldn't save her, but maybe this time he could save someone else's sister. Someone's daughter. At dawn, he gently woke Rinari. "Time to go," he whispered. She opened her eyes, nodded, and took his hand without fear. They started moving again, through broken alleys, down cracked roads, past wrecked machines of war. Caleb taught her to walk quietly, to hide when he raised his hand, and to stay close. Despite her fear, Rinari was brave. She followed him without complaint. She trusted him. They reached an old watchtower by midday. From the top, Caleb could see the horizon. Far in the distance beyond the smoke and hills was a shining point, the royal citadel of the Zenari, still standing. He smiled. "That's where we're going," he told her. Rinari looked at it and her lips moved. "Mother." "Yes," he nodded. "We'll get you to her, I promise." But as he lowered the scope, he saw something else. Enemy scouts. A group of them, moving toward the tower. Caleb grabbed Rinari and quickly moved them into hiding. "We've got trouble," he whispered. Rinari held his arm tightly. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She stayed silent, like a trained survivor. As the enemy passed below them, Caleb kept his finger ready on the trigger. But they didn't look up. They kept moving, heading toward the ruins behind. When the danger passed, Caleb breathed out slowly. "That was close," he said. Rinari looked up at him again. She spoke softly. "You protect me." Caleb smiled. "Yes, I will." And then they kept moving, toward the citadel, toward hope, and toward a reunion that could change the galaxy. Caleb and Rinari moved carefully through the broken lands. The sun above was weak, and the wind carried the smell of burned metal. Around them, the world looked dead. But Caleb knew danger was still alive, especially now. He kept Rinari close, holding her hand. Her small fingers were cold but strong. She didn't cry or complain. She just followed him, step by step, trusting him. They crossed a destroyed bridge, climbed over a wall, and passed the remains of an old transport ship. Rinari's eyes scanned everything. She remembered these places. Once, she had traveled through, them with her guards and teachers. Now everything was silent. Caleb stopped near an old bunker and motioned for her to hide. He looked through his scope. Enemy drones were flying in the sky again, their red eyes flashing. They were searching. "Get down," he whispered. They both ducked behind the stone wall. Caleb covered her with his body, holding his breath as the drone passed overhead. It stopped for a moment, then moved on. After a long pause, Caleb whispered, "We're safe, for now." They stayed hidden until the sky was clear. Then they began to move again, slower this time. As they walked through an old courtyard, Rinari pointed at something. A faded painting on a wall. It showed a tall woman, with silver hair and a golden crown. "Mother," Rinari said softly. Caleb looked at it. "That's her? The queen?" Rinari nodded. He stared at the face for a moment. Strong eyes, kind smile. She looked powerful, yet full of care. Caleb could see where Rinari got her spirit from. "She must be looking for you," Caleb said. She never gave up. Rinari's eyes became wet. She wiped them quickly and stood tall. Suddenly a noise came from behind. Caleb turned fast, pulling Rinari behind him. 3 alien mercenaries were walking into the courtyard. Not Zinari, but hired fighters, scavengers who hunted for survivors or treasures. Caleb pushed Rinari into a dark corner and whispered, "Don't move." No sound. Then he faced the threat. The mercenaries saw him and laughed. A human. Out here alone? Caleb said nothing. One of them stepped closer. "You must be lost, or maybe just stupid." Still, Caleb didn't move. He waited for the right moment. When the lead mercenary raised his weapon, Caleb acted. With quick moves, he rolled to the side and fired. One mercenary fell. The others took cover and fired back. Caleb used the broken pillars as cover, taking careful shots. He moved fast and stayed low. One more mercenary fell, but the last one threw a grenade. Caleb grabbed Rinari and ran just as the explosion hit the ground behind them. He shielded her with his body as they landed behind a wall. His arm was bleeding, and his side ached, but he was alive. So was she. The last mercenary ran off, afraid. Caleb leaned back and took deep breaths. "You okay?" he asked. Rinari looked at his wound and nodded slowly. She touched his arm gently. "Hurt? Just a scratch?" He smiled. She reached into his bag and pulled out a bandage. With careful hands, she wrapped his arm, just like a medic would. "You're good at this?" Caleb said with a soft laugh. She smiled a little for the first time. They rested for a while in the shade. Caleb gave her water and half an energy bar. "We're not far now," he told her. "Just over the hills." Rinari looked at the hills in the distance. They were steep and covered in broken trees and metal. But behind them was the citadel, the place where her mother might be waiting. As the sun began to set, Caleb helped her stand. "Can you make it?" She nodded bravely. "Yes." They started walking again. The road was hard, and Caleb's arm hurt with every step. But he didn't stop. He looked down at Rinari, still holding his hand, and he felt something powerful. She gave him strength, and he knew, no matter what, he would not let go. Caleb and Rinari kept walking through the broken hills. The wind blew harder now, carrying dust and small pieces of metal. The sky above turned red as the sun began to fall behind the dark mountains. The citadel was still far, but they could almost see the tops of its towers now. Caleb's arm was bandaged, but the pain grew stronger. Every step made him feel weaker. Still, he didn't stop. He kept his mind sharp, watching for movement. Rinari walked beside him quietly, holding his hand tightly. Suddenly, they heard a strange sound, a soft hum, followed by a high-pitched whistle. Caleb froze. He knew that sound. "Drones," he whispered. He pulled Rinari behind a pile of broken stone and looked up. 2 enemy drones circled above, scanning the area with red lights. Caleb knew they were searching for signs of life. If they found him, they would call backup. And this time, it wouldn't be just 3 mercenaries. He held Rinari close and stayed still, but the drone's light passed over their hiding place and stopped. It had seen them. A loud alarm rang out. The drone spun in place, then began to descend. Caleb acted quickly. He grabbed his rifle and fired at the nearest one. It exploded in a burst of sparks. The second drone dodged and returned fire. "Run!" Caleb shouted, pushing Renari ahead. They ran through the broken path, dodging fallen trees and sharp debris. The drone followed, shooting bursts of red plasma. Caleb turned and shot again, but missed. He jumped over a rock and rolled to the ground, breathing hard. Then something amazing happened. Renari, hiding behind a large tree, picked up a stone and threw it at the drone. It wasn't strong enough to do damage, but it distracted it for 1 second. Just enough. Caleb took aim again and fired. The drone fell from the sky in smoke. Silence returned. Caleb dropped to one knee. His side hurt, his arm was shaking, and his vision blurred for a moment. But Renari ran to him and helped him stand. "You did great," he said with a tired smile. "You were brave." She smiled a little, then looked worried. Caleb leaned against a tree. "I need to rest just for a few minutes." They found a small cave nearby, hidden under some rocks. Caleb built a tiny fire using parts of old tech and dry wood. It gave off a soft heat. Renari sat beside him, eating the last of their food. Caleb took slow sips of water. "I sent out a beacon before," he said. "Maybe someone saw it. Maybe help is coming." Renari looked at him and asked, softly, "Queen, will she come?" He looked at her gently. "If she's alive, she's looking for you." "I believe that." Renari hugged her knees and whispered, "She always told me, don't give up." Caleb smiled. "She sounds strong." "She is," Renari said. "But she cries. When she thinks, I'm not looking." Caleb's heart hurt hearing that. The queen had lost her only child and probably blamed herself every day. If she knew Renari was alive, nothing would stop her from finding her. That night, Caleb dreamed of his sister. She stood in a field of flowers, smiling at him. He reached out, but she faded like smoke. He woke up with tears in his eyes. He turned to Renari. She was still asleep, curled beside the fire. He whispered to himself, "This time, I won't fail." The next morning, Caleb's comm device blinked. A message came through, a reply signal. Zenari Royal Guard Patrol approaching sector. "Are we ready?" Caleb smiled. "They're coming." He shook Renari awake gently. "Your people are near. We just need to make it to the edge of the hills." Renari's eyes lit up. "Mother?" "Soon," he nodded. With new hope in their hearts, they packed their things and stepped out of the cave. The wind was cold, but it felt fresh, alive, and together they began their final walk toward the citadel and a long-awaited reunion. Far away from the ruins and hills, deep inside the golden walls of the citadel, Queen Saylara stood on her balcony. Her face was calm, but her heart was heavy. The sun was rising behind the broken mountains, painting the sky orange. She looked toward the far lands, the same lands where her daughter had gone missing years ago. The royal guard stood silently behind her. A captain stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we received a signal," he said. "A human soldier is alive in Sector 9. He claims to have your daughter." Queen Saylara turned slowly. "Is the signal strong?" "Faint, but real. The human's ID is listed as Caleb, rank corporal." The queen's hands tightened around the edge of the stone wall. She had heard that name before. Her spies had reported about a human soldier who had stayed behind longer than others, searching in ruined areas where no one else dared to go. Many had told her it was time to move on, to stop searching for her daughter. But she never stopped hoping, never stopped believing. "I'm going," she said firmly. The guards looked at each other. "But Your Majesty," the captain said, "it's dangerous outside the citadel. We can send a team." "I said I'm going," she repeated. "If she's alive, if it's really her, I will not let someone else bring her to me. I must see her with my own eyes." She turned, already walking away. "Prepare my ship, and double the security. We leave in 10 minutes. Back in the hills, Caleb was helping Renari climb over a large piece of broken wall. The path was steeper now, but they were close. Very close. He checked the comm device. The signal was now clearer. "They're coming," he said with a smile. "Your mother might be with them." Renari didn't speak. She was too nervous. Her small hands shook as she looked at the sky, searching for any sign of her people. Then, they heard it, a soft humming sound from above. A Royal Zenari ship was landing nearby. Caleb held Renari's hand tightly. "This is it." The ship touched the ground, and the ramp opened. Soldiers in silver armor stepped out first, scanning the area. Then, a tall figure in a dark royal robe appeared at the top of the ramp. Queen Sailara. Renari's breath caught in her throat. She let go of Caleb's hand and took a small step forward. The queen stared at the child. Her eyes were wide. Her lips trembled. "Renari," she whispered. The girl didn't answer. She ran forward, fast and full of emotion. "Mom," she cried, "I'm back." Queen Sailara rushed down the ramp and caught her daughter in her arms. The guards lowered their weapons. Some looked away, tears in their eyes. The queen dropped to her knees and held Renari tightly. Tears ran down her cheeks as she kissed her daughter's forehead over and over. "My child, my little star, I thought I lost you forever." "I was scared," Renari sobbed. "But he saved me." She pointed behind her. Caleb stood quietly a few steps away, watching the reunion. He felt a strange mix of joy and peace in his heart. Queen Sailara stood slowly, still holding Renari's hand, and walked toward Caleb. "You brought her back to me," she said. Her voice was filled with emotion. "You protected her when no one else would." Caleb nodded humbly. "She's brave. She helped me too." The queen looked into his eyes. "Human or not, you are a hero to my people now. You are welcome in our lands always." Caleb gave a tired smile. "I'm just glad she's home." As the queen turned back to comfort her daughter, Caleb looked up at the sky. The war had brought pain and loss to many, but in this moment something good had come from it. Something real, and it was only the beginning. The citadel's royal gates opened wide as Queen Sailara returned, holding her daughter close. Behind them walked Caleb, the human soldier, tired but proud. The royal guards bowed as the queen passed. Servants dropped their tools, shocked to see the little princess alive. Whispers filled the air. "Is it really her? That's the missing child? She was found by a human?" The queen ignored them all. Her eyes stayed on Renari. She had waited years for this moment. Now her daughter was safe in her arms. Renari looked around in wonder. Everything was bigger than she remembered. The walls, the floors, the statues. They all seemed different now. But she was home. Inside the palace, a room had already been prepared. A royal doctor checked Renari's condition. She had no serious wounds, just signs of hunger and exhaustion. Caleb sat nearby, watching quietly. "She will be fine," the doctor said with a bow. Queen Sailara let out a deep breath of relief. Later, in the queen's private hall, only a few people remained. Sailara, Renari, Caleb, and a few trusted guards. A warm meal was placed before them. Renari, still holding Caleb's hand, looked up at her mother. "Mom," she whispered, "he saved me. He didn't know who I was, but he helped me anyway." Queen Sailara looked at Caleb. "Why did you help her, soldier? You could have walked away." "Many did." Caleb looked down for a moment, thinking. "I've lost someone too," he said. "Long ago. I wasn't able to protect her. I didn't want the same to happen to Renari." The queen was silent. Then she spoke softly. "Most humans and Zenari do not trust each other. We have fought for years, but today you reminded me that hope still lives." Renari smiled. "He taught me to be strong. He carried me when I couldn't walk. He made me laugh when I was scared." Caleb laughed quietly. "You were braver than me, honestly." The queen stood and walked to Caleb. She placed a royal badge in his hand. "This is the mark of unity," she said. "It is only given to those who bring peace between enemies. You may be a soldier, but today you became more than that." Caleb stood up slowly and bowed his head. "Thank you, Your Majesty." That night a celebration took place. The queen did not want noise or loud music. She wanted silence, respect, and memory. The royal square was lit with soft lanterns. Flowers were placed in honor of those who were lost. But this time they also celebrated what was found. The people of the citadel lined up quietly to see their princess. Rinari, standing on a balcony beside her mother and Caleb, waved shyly. The crowd cheered softly and placed their hands on their hearts, a Zinari sign of respect. Caleb stood beside them in clean clothes, no longer a soldier in armor, but a man honored by another world. After the crowd left, Rinari hugged him again. "Please, don't leave," she said. Caleb looked at the queen. "I don't know where I belong now. My war is over." Queen Sailara stepped forward. "You are welcome here. If you choose to stay, we will give you a home." Caleb smiled. "I'll stay. At least for a while." Rinari's eyes lit up. "Good. Then we can explore the garden tomorrow. And I'll show you the big library," he laughed. "That sounds perfect." As the moon rose over the citadel, peace returned to the hearts of many. The queen sat with her daughter under the stars. Caleb stood guard not as a soldier, but as a friend, and a symbol of what humans and aliens could become when they chose hope over hate. The war had taken much, but love, courage, and kindness had brought something back, and it all began with a promise. "I'll get you home." Days passed in the golden halls of the citadel. Life was slowly returning to peace. The war was not yet over, but hope had found a place in the hearts of many. Caleb walked through the wide palace gardens, the soft breeze moving the flowers. Rinari ran ahead laughing like a child free from fear. Queen Sailara watched them from a nearby balcony, a proud smile on her face. The queen called Caleb to the royal chamber. When he entered, she stood to greet him. "You have done more than any human soldier," she said. "You saved my daughter, and in doing so, you saved a part of our people's future." Caleb bowed his head respectfully. "I did what any person should do." The queen smiled warmly. "Perhaps, but many did not. You showed kindness when others showed only war. That is why I offer you a place here, as an ambassador between our worlds." Caleb's eyes widened. "An ambassador? Me? I'm just a soldier." "No," the queen said firmly. "You are more. You carry the hope of peace. Your people and mine need bridges like you." Caleb thought about it. The war had taken so much from him. His family, his friends, his home. Now he could help build something new. "I accept," he said. The queen nodded. "Good. Then we will prepare you." Later that evening, Caleb sat with Rinari under the stars. She looked at him with curious eyes. "Will you stay with us forever?" she asked. Caleb smiled. "I don't know about forever, but I will stay as long as you need me." Rinari took his hand and squeezed it. "Thank you for saving me." Caleb looked up at the night sky. "Thank you for trusting me." The stars seemed brighter than ever. Months passed and Caleb learned the Zinari ways, their language, their customs, their hopes. He met other humans and aliens who wanted peace too. Together, they worked to rebuild the broken worlds. One day during a council meeting, a message arrived. The enemy forces were preparing a new attack, but this time the Zinari and humans were ready. They stood united. Caleb led the human forces, while Queen Sailara commanded her people. The battle was fierce, but their combined strength won the day. The war began to turn. Back in the citadel, celebrations filled the streets. People cheered for the courage of both sides. Children danced together, humans and Zinari alike. Caleb stood beside Queen Sailara and Rinari. The little girl hugged him tightly. "You are my hero," she said softly. He smiled. "And you are my family." The queen looked at them both with pride. "You have shown us all that even in the darkest times humanity's light shines bright." Caleb felt a warm glow inside. This was why he fought. Not just for victory, but for hope, for love, for a future where humans and aliens could live as friends. As the sun set over the rebuilt citadel, Caleb looked toward the stars. The universe was vast and full of mysteries. But no matter where he went, he knew one truth. Humans could change the world. Not just by fighting, but by caring. And in that care, they were unstoppable.